Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to thank the honourable member for this question. Speaker, sir, this is actually a very highly successful program that was launched by government. The first time, Mr. Speaker, sir, it was launched in 2014. It started in 2014, and the idea was to, in fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, assist, in particular, low-income Fijian families to buy or build their first home. Because we've seen the rate of home ownership in Fiji, Mr. Speaker, sir, is very low. And as a result of that, many Fijians actually don't have an asset against which they can borrow in the future. And this is why we find a lot of people, for example, they go to money lenders for small loans because they don't actually have an asset they can take to the mainstream financial institutions, use that as collateral, and be able to borrow against that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the program we started in 2014, we gave an assistance of $10,000 to Fijians with annual household income of $50,000 and below. In 2018, this was further expanded by increasing the first home grant to $15,000 and also introducing a first land purchase grant of $10,000 for Fijians buying the first residential piece of land. In the financial year, Mr. Speaker, sir, 2020-2021, the first home grant was further increased to $30,000. And Mr. Speaker, sir, it was also, we had two categories in that. So if you earn $50,000 or less household income, if you're building a first home, you got a grant of $30,000. If you earn more than $50,000 but less than $100,000, you got a grant of $15,000 if you're building your first home. If you're buying your first home, the amounts were lesser than the building grant. So one was 15 and the other one was 5. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the 2020-21 financial year, the ministry paid $7.5 million under this assistance program to 433 successful applicants. This was the highest payout till last year, Mr. Speaker, since the program, in fact, was introduced. In 2021-2022 budget, Mr. Speaker, sir, a total of $4 million was allocated for the first home grant, which was last year in July when we approved it. And this was paid out, Mr. Speaker, sir, within the first few months of this financial year, assisting 213 Fijian households. In fact, $410,000 was wired from the first land program to meet the total payout of $4.3 million. A total of 130, or 61% of households from the 213 received the grant to construct their first home. And 83 households, Mr. Speaker, sir, received the grant to purchase their first home. A total of 145 households that benefited from the $50,000 and below income category, and the balance 68 were in the high income bracket sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, although funding was fully utilized, the Ministry of Housing and Community Development continued to receive applications for the first home grant. To meet this high demand, I hope the honourable members of opposition have picked this up. The Ministry has been allocated an additional $5.9 million in the revised budget to be able to cater for all these applicants who have actually been successfully processed through the banks. As of today, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry has received a further 243 applications. From the 243 applications, 9 were declined as they did not meet the eligibility criteria. There were 26 incomplete applications that the Ministry is currently liaising with the applicants for further information. The remaining 208 successful applicants will receive their grant payments in the coming weeks to a total payout of $4.6 million, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, so that's really the update regarding that. And as we said, it's working out quite successfully. Just as a matter of interest, sir, it's one thing to give the grant, but it's also important to know what was the total value of loans they took out. In 2021 financial year, sir, the 433 successful applicants were able to secure home loans to a total of $58 million. In other words, $58 million actually were lent by the banks under this scheme for them to actually buy or build their homes. In the current financial year, home loans in excess of $63 million have been secured to date by the 421 applicants. Over 7-folds of economic activities compared to the total grant payout of $9 million. So $9 million, Mr. Speaker, sir, meant that as a result of $9 million grant by government, $63 million was released into the economy by the banks. And that, of course, has created economic activity in the construction sector, etc. And, of course, this means more employment opportunities and, of course, better roofs for ordinary Fijians, sir. Thank you.